After years of wedded bliss, Nick couldn't take it any longer. Melissa, through no fault of her own, had grown up in a home without cable TV or a VCR. If that last sentence confused you, Google it. This had resulted in her having very little pop culture movie knowledge. In order to right this injustice, the duo will watch and discuss movie after movie until Melissa has caught up with the zeitgeist of her generation. Welcome to their journey. Wow. Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
I am really in the mood to watch a movie, actually.
Are you?
Yeah.
I was just thinking I'm kind of slapsticky. I feel like giggly. So I don't know if that's great. That would have been great for our last week's movie.
Indeed.
It'll be interesting for this week's movie.
So we're not watching a comedy? No rom-com tonight?
I guess it depends on your definition of comedy.
That doesn't make sense.
Well, different people find different things funny. So, any movie could be funny to someone.
But what are we watching tonight?
Why do you look nervous?
I'm not nervous.
Okay. You don't know what we're watching, correct?
Correct.
All right. I feel like a magician every time that we have this conversation.
Have you seen what's inside this box?
Exactly.
No, I have not.
Do you have any idea what's about to happen? Okay. Great. We are watching a movie called Excalibur.
Excalibur?
Yes.
Ooh.
Have you ever heard of this film?
No.
You've heard of Excalibur, though.
Isn't that the name of a sword?
It sure is. Do you know whose sword?
King Arthur?
Yes.
Of the Round Table?
Correct. Of that fame, yes.
Okay. That's all. We've exhausted my knowledge.
You don't know anything else about the Arthurian legend?
Not really.
Ooh, this is going to be awesome then.
So I'm picturing knights on horses.
They rode horses. That's correct. Yes.
Fair maidens with gowns.
Yes.
Maybe
probably.
a well where they get water out of with a bucket.
A hand-woven rope pulling up the water.
A bucket made of wood.
Yes. Yes. None of these metal or lead buckets.
No.
Wow. Yes. That's
and
all.
Suddenly I feel like I should speak with an accent.
Quite. I feel like we need to keep track of all the things you just mentioned and count the number of times we see them in the movie.
Okay.
So, knights on horses.
Yep.
Fair maidens in gowns.
Yes.
And wells with wooden buckets.
Can I add a few more?
Sure.
Horses thundering like over a drawbridge.
Over a drawbridge. Okay.
You know what I mean?
I do. I know exactly what you mean.
And also like galloping down a path into the woods.
like
into the wood.
They're entering into the wood, or it's like you see the wood in the distance.
I in my mind, it's entering into the wood.
Okay. All right. Okay. That's okay. We got to write those down.
And a minstrel. Don't forget the minstrels.
You cannot forget the minstrels.
And a wild boar with an apple stuffed in its mouth on a wooden table that's laden with things, and also
that is very specific.
Goblets and candlesticks.
Goblets, I'm super interested in. Are we going to count the goblets, or are we going to count the scenes that have goblets?
We'll just anytime they appear.
Let's go with scenes. Okay.
Yeah, it'll be like bingo.
This is we just listed 15 things.
Excalibur bingo. Yes.
Okay. What about the number of times someone says "my lord"
or "milady"?
Milady.
So when was this movie made?
Or when they talk about honor. Mentioning of honor. Every time honor is mentioned. Going with that too.
Okay.
When was this movie made?
Yeah.
It was made.
Is this an 80s movie?
Is this a trick?
I'm not tricking you. I'm just curious.
Yes, this is from 1981.
Okay.
It's an 80s Arthurian legend film.
Awesome.
How are you feeling? I picked this one specifically because oh my goodness, the cast in this movie.
Oh, really?
You're going to be like, who's that? Oh, it's that guy. So
that's fun.
There's some of those.
Okay.
You're also doing your annual reading The Fellowship of the Ring. So I thought this would fit nicely along with that.
Thank
with where
you.
Your mind is.
Yeah.
You're welcome. So you want to give me some taglines for this one as we head in? So many.
Ride on, my lord.
Ride on, my lord. Well, let us go. Come, let us away.
Come, let us. And we shall.
Raise your glass. Bring it over here.
Raise your goblet.
Your goblet. We made it. We made it through the quest that is Excalibur.
That was a lot of movie.
That was a lot of movie. For the record, I'm drinking homemade maple honey mead in honor of this film. And I'm going to try not to say something like, "Wench, bring me more mead," during the course of our conversation.
Okay, thanks for
You're welcome.
abstaining from that. And
I shall try. I shall attempt. I shall endeavor. I shall quest not to make it so.
Excellent. Excellent. Does the mead, do you feel like you're back in that time?
Mead is good.
You could have been sitting around the table.
It does. It does. I mean, yes, absolutely.
They would have made it.
They would have made it. Absolutely. 100%.
Mm-hmm.
That was a movie. It was an epic movie.
Okay. It
and
was
epic,
confusing.
I mean, long and confusing. And I kept thinking about you because, you're reading Lord of the Rings again and you're reading about Gandalf, which is an amazing wizard. And Merlin in this movie, he was very quirky.
I don't know. I didn't even know what to think about Merlin.
Yeah.
I was not endeared to him.
No?
No.
Well, that could be because you feel like you're cheating on Gandalf. I don't know.
No, he just was annoying. No, this is the thing. Merlin was like, his voice would change.
Oh, yes, he talked like this.
And then it would the tone of it would change and become suddenly angry but his face didn't change at all.
Yeah.
So he was just really difficult to read. I'm not sure what the actor was going for, but it was...
I wonder if it was the dubbing they did on it. Maybe they did after takes on it. You know what I mean? In the sound room or something. Yeah.
I don't think so.
I don't know.
I think he was trying to be an eccentric wizard, but it kind of just came off as, I don't know, bad acting.
He...
That's not very gracious. But
I feel like with Merlin in particular, he's supposed to be this last of his kind type, almost like a creature, like a being of another realm type thing. So I don't know. I would guess that's why he was going for the eclectic, kind of really out there type character.
Yeah, I mean, he would have made a good alien.
Yeah.
The way this guy played Merlin was the way someone could play an alien, and it would have made way more sense.
Yeah, aliens.
If he were from another planet.
Yeah, aliens that take on the form of a human, and then they interact with other humans.
That's what he felt like.
Yeah.
He did not feel natural.
What if I were to tell you that's exactly what he was going for?
Well, he achieved it.
I don't actually know if that's true or not. It just kind of seems like it. Well, he would disappear for I don't know. They made it seem like he was could be hundreds of years old.
Yes,
so he literally kind of felt like an alien because of that fact to me.
And he was often kind of in the shadows. He wouldn't sit around the table with all the knights and eat. He was kind of on the side. And you couldn't tell if he was being sarcastic or judgmental or actually truthful.
Yeah.
Really, I could not read his character at all.
I wondered, why did he care? Why did he care that the golden age of men would come about? I didn't understand why he would care, because he seemed so disconnected from everything. It's almost like he had a job and there was a checklist and he had to have the things and he could check off the boxes and then just be done with this.
Merlin's just phoning it in.
He's just phoning it in. Anyway, we digressed on Merlin, which, he's very digressible.
I took notes.
You took notes?
I have notes about this
parchment?
film. Yes. It was confusing, and it just drops you in. The movie's off and running before you even realize you're watching it. It's that kind of jarring drop in.
You're just in the middle of a battlefield, and all of a sudden, boom.
And it's confusing because so I went into it thinking, we're going to watch a movie about King Arthur.
Yeah.
But it doesn't start with King Arthur. It starts with his father.
Yes.
Who is confusingly named Uther.
Yes.
So for the first 10 minutes, I was like, are they just saying his name weird? Is this an accent? is that Arthur? I think I asked you like a couple times, like, is that Arthur?
No.
They're saying, it sounds like they're saying Arthur, but they were saying Uther.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. So confusing.
That's awesome. Oh, at least he wasn't Arthur Sr. and then Arthur was Arthur Jr. That would have made it even worse, I guess. Oh, wow. Okay.
Okay. So you want to talk about what happens? Can we piece together the plot of this movie?
Wow.
I don't know.
I mean, tale as old as time. You're trying to unite a country because of a wizard who tells you that you're meant to do it. He finds a magical sword from a lake and some lady who chills in there.
Yeah, her hand like slowly passes the sword out of the water.
Pierces the veil of the surface of the water.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
It is quite dramatic.
And there's like dramatic
music that happens. The music in this movie is extremely dramatic.
Yes, it is. Well, the movie.
I also didn't feel like the music.
The movie's serious. It is a serious movie. Like, it was not made to be like farcical or anything. It was meant to be like a dramatic retelling of like the craziness and brutality of that time and the Arthurian legend. Like, it was made to be serious. That
time period, like, they were successful in making it crazy and awkward. Like, everyone's wearing, except for the women, most of the men, except for Merlin, are wearing suits of armor
all the time.
Yes. And it's clunky and chunky, and it's like like clashing off each other, and every move they make is like noisy. It's a lot. I
remember the clunkiness of the armor because it's in like what 70% of the movie.
Yeah,
I remember the armor like a lot from when I was a kid and saw it. Anyway,
there is a special piece of armor too that we'll get to.
Yes, yes, there is. So the dad, Uther, not Arthur,
right?
He's the one who gets Excalibur first, and he just turns out to be. He goes in and he like starts to make peace so he can unite the land. They were warring with other Englishmen or whomever, and they made a truce. Then they had a party, and then the queen did a dance, and that's the end of the story because Uther's like, I need that queen. And of course the guy the king that's his wife, he's like, no, thank you. That's my wife.
Right. So then they're right back at war. And Uther's outside and he's talking to Merlin, and Merlin begrudgingly helps him to get into the castle and do what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
And like, that's another weird thing about Merlin. Why did he do it? It was almost like he couldn't.
I'm telling you, he
had to obey or something.
He's phoning it in, and he has a plan. He has a plan. He's got a list. It's like maybe inside of his pantry when he's making his tea. He's looking at that every morning, and it says, "Unite the realm, have a king who can hold the sword, and make a circular thing that they sit around." That's like his checklist.
Okay.
And so with Uther, he's like, oh, fine, if he's going to mess this up, we got to make another king. So boom, he does that. So another king will be begotten. And that's how Arthur enters the scene.
So the queen has a baby boy. Yep. And wait,
that's Arthur.
Yeah. But before Arthur happened, like before that, Uther takes the sword and he goes out into the woods.
No, that's after.
After
Uther gets, he has his reward. He gets to beget Arthur, and Uther ends up running after that because there's a battle and everything, and he feels guilty. He runs into men. The king had died. His nemesis had died, and so the people in that area blamed him, and so he's kind of being chased, and he got ambushed.
You picked up on that really well.
Oh yeah, he got ambushed because they're chasing him through the woods. And then he's about to die. Like, he gets a couple of them, but he's about to die. So he takes the sword and he's like, this won't be anybody else's. And he shoves it into a stone. And then, boom, he dies.
That's right.
And then therein, he begot two things. He begot Arthur, and then he begot the sword and the stone.
Yeah.
And then you do like a flash forward, and it's 15, 20 years later, and a city has grown up, a village has grown up around the sword and the stone.
Right.
Because of the prophecy of he who shall remove it shall unite, be a great king, and shall unite the kingdom.
Okay.
And that's when Captain Picard comes on the scene.
Yeah, Captain Picard. Oh my gosh.
Patrick Stewart was awesome in this movie.
Yeah, he was.
He had a little bit more hair than you used to, too. So
a little bit.
I said a little.
Yeah.
Not a ton, but a little bit. It wasn't gray. So, yeah.
So everything you just said is a good summary of the first part of the movie. So
that's only the first 15 minutes, probably. That's like 15 to 20 minutes.
Yeah, a lot happens.
Yeah.
And like, it's very, well, I just feel like I was a little lost, but that was a good summary.
Well, you just see lots of armor.
I kept thinking,
there's lots of
Uther.
writing.
They're saying it wrong. It's Arthur. What's wrong?
Wow.
So then they're in the village.
Yes.
And
they have tournaments so people can vie for the privilege of going to try and remove the sword from the stone.
Yes. And we meet Arthur.
Yes.
And he's a page. No, a squire.
He's a page. Yes, he's sitting at a desk taking phone calls. He's a squire.
He's a squire. He's the assistant to his older brothers who are battling and going to try
to the regional manager. Yes.
So the important distinction.
Very important distinction.
So this is where it reminds me of the Disney version of this movie.
I mean, it's the meat of the story. Like, it's one of the
Yeah. So what it's his brother's turn to do the tournament, and they're like, Arthur, get a sword. And Arthur's like, oh shoot, I didn't pack the sword. Oh no,
I left it in the tent. And
so he runs back and he can't find it, and he's kind of running frantically around, and then he runs by the sword in the stone. He's like, oh, I guess I'll just grab this one. And and he does. He just pulls it out, lickety split like that, when no one else could. But some people are around, they see it, and they're like, whoa, you just pulled it out. You're the one. And everyone comes around, and they're like,
someone didn't believe him, right?
Yeah, one of the other knights or whatever didn't believe him. So he put it back in. Yeah. And then that like macho dude was like, see, I'll show you. And he tries to pull it out and can't do it.
Yeah.
And Arthur's like, well, it's just as simple as this. And he just pulls it out again. And suddenly he's king.
And suddenly he's king.
Suddenly Merlin appears.
Merlin does appear. But it's not, he's king, but the guy who's macho is like, well, I'm not going to follow you. You're just a boy. And so Patrick Stewart's like, yo, Jean-Luc throws his street cred behind this boy. That's translation for he supports his reign and rule. And so then you hear about Arthur. Merlin shows up and talks to Arthur and starts telling him all the, you're going to have to do all this stuff, basically.
Yeah. His little spokesperson.
Yeah.
Or coach, perhaps. Yes. King coach. Coach to the
king.
King
Coach.
Yeah, so he has to like take his men that are the ones that will support him, and he gets knighted. Well,
he has to go rescue Jean-Luc, because Jean-Luc I keep calling him Jean-Luc. Because Patrick Stewart is in the he's being besieged because he supported him.
Yeah.
The guy who opposed him is now attacking him, and Arthur has to gather his troops, and he decides his first action is to go help that guy who wanted to support him.
Which was wise. That was like, oh yeah, okay, this is a king I can get behind. He's just made a really good decision.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yes, that's good. But then the crazy part is he scales a wall. Remember, he climbs up the wall on the ladder?
Yeah.
This is probably the craziest part of the movie. These walls are what? I don't know, 30 feet high or something? And
2 stories, 3 stories?
3 stories. And he jumps off of that into the water to like save someone else to attack. Like, your legs would break. There's no way that would have happened. That was
the magic of Excalibur.
I can believe Merlin can use dragons, quote air quotes, to make mist that Uther can ride a horse on across a bay. I can believe that more easily than Arthur jumping 3 stories and not breaking a bone. But anyway, ends up getting knighted by the guy who hated him.
Yeah.
Because the guy who hated him is like, I'm not going to fight you. You're not even a knight.
Yeah.
And then he like hands him Excalibur and says, well, then knight me. And the guy's so impressed by his like
humbleness.
His humbleness that he's like, forget it. You're my king.
Yeah.
Thus begins the legend.
This is really a story about like dudes and their macho-ness and bromances.
Yeah.
And like the struggle between like your ego and your bromance. Now I'm just realizing that's what's going on here.
We didn't even get to the ultimate bromance in this story yet.
Lancelot.
We're not. Yes.
Oh my gosh. So then he meets Lancelot.
Well, no, they had Camelot first, right? Anyway, then he meets Lancelot.
It's just a lot happens.
There's a lot. After that, they start to establish things. and they're just going around pretty much just quelling things. They're settling stuff down, inviting them in to the fold, and if they don't come into the fold, then they're whatever, subduing them. I don't know, whatever they're doing.
It's kind of neat. It's just, a little window into how life worked back then.
Yeah.
And so there's a point where they come to this bridge and they need to get across the bridge, but there's a knight on the bridge and he's beating everybody and he won't let anyone pass unless you can beat him in a jousting tournament in a field. They're jousting with those long, isn't that what's called?
Lance. It's called the lance. But they joust with lances. Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, his name is Lancelot, so he's got to lance a lot.
Oh, that's got to be where his name comes from.
That goes, cheers, more mead.
Yeah, so finally King Arthur is like, I'll do this. Let me take care of this. Yeah. And he runs off to meet him.
The funniest part was Lancelot was like, just go around. There's literally other places you can cross besides here.
Wait, did Lancelot say that or did you say that?
No, Lancelot said that. He literally was like, I don't see what the big deal is. I'm just here trying to look for a king that's worthy of my awesomeness. I'm totally righteous.
He even had like shiny armor.
His armor was the shiniest in the movie. Mm-hmm. He was like...
It never got dirty.
He was the symbol of like honor and virtue, which was honor... No, he was. Mm-hmm. He was. They talk about it throughout the movie. Mm-hmm. They talk about honor, which was one of our bingos, by the way.
Yeah, we'll get to the bingo.
Okay, yeah. So he is this pillar of honor, virtue... And so he was from France. He had like his own, he was a lord over there and he had all his lands and everything. He's like, nope, no one's worthy. So he ventures forth to find a king who's worthy of having him as rolling with his crew.
Deep backstory.
Deep. But then he was like, seriously though, you could go around. Like, he literally says that. He's like, this is not the only bridge here. You could just go around. And Arthur's like, no, I'm not going to do that because I'm Arthur. That's pretty much.
Not Uther, like my father.
Not Uther.
Yeah. So then they're like, all right, let's go in this field and let's get our lances.
Let's get our lance on.
And our squires are there. And so I don't even remember who wins. Does like Lancelot win?
No, well, kind of.
It's like, it's not a clear victory for Arthur either.
No, Arthur had to win. Like Lancelot started to win, but then Arthur got like upset and he was, I can't remember what made him angry, but he ended up using Excalibur. And that's like, that's like cheating. The way he used Excalibur was so powerful that I think it cut through his blade or something and cut into his armor.
It cut into his armor.
Yeah. So because he did that, then he was like, oh, I finally found the king. And thus the bromance began.
That reminds me, earlier before this, there was a prophecy or something. Merlin had told him that he was going to have great success as a ruler or something. But then he would also be betrayed.
He'd be betrayed, yeah.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, Merlin... Arthur had asked for something, and then Merlin was like, sure, I could do it, but you're going to blah, blah, blah. Something bad's going to happen.
Okay, so with Lancelot, they start to really rule.
Yep.
And things are going great.
Yeah.
And that's when he has the round table.
They build Camelot. Yeah. Arthur marries Patrick Stewart's daughter, who's Marion.
No, Guinevere.
Guinevere, sorry, Robin Hood. I went into Robin Hood. My bad.
It's easy to do that. I understand.
So yeah, and then she and Lancelot notice each other.
Yeah.
I think he escorts her at one point in their riding, and she's like,
to her wedding. He's the escort to her wedding.
Yes, that is such a baller move that he does.
They notice her before they notice each other before she gets married, but she marries King Arthur, and so he tells her that he
on the
loves
way to the
her.
wedding. Yes,
but he'll never.
He's never gonna take another. He's only gonna love her and just
until he dies.
Until he dies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I guess
happy marriage. Congratulations.
Here's my wedding gift to you. Know that I'll always be sitting here staring at you, pining for you forever. Love you, thank you.
So then Lancelot, he becomes like this, he can't bring himself to eat with them.
Yeah, at the round table.
At the round table.
Yeah.
No, well, not the round table's not for eating. The round table's for the meeting. But during
is that the saying on the wall? The round table's not for eating. The round table's for meeting.
Yeah.
Nice.
So there's a scene later where they're the knights and their ladies are all eating dinner together. And there's a cup poured for Lancelot, but he's never there. He lives in the woods.
Yeah, he does.
He's like,
just lives in the woods.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they talk about it, and then that's when Liam Neeson comes into the picture. And he's like...
He's one of the knights.
He's one of the knights of the round table.
And his girlfriend...
is more...
drama. Morgana.
Yes. Morgana, who's...
Morgana?
I think it's Morgana. Who's Arthur's half-sister.
Yeah.
Who also is gifted in the ways of the arts of magic.
Right.
She's a natural talent and tries to get taught by Merlin.
Yeah, she kind of follows Merlin around and tries to learn from him.
But anyway, she's whispered in the ear of Liam Neeson, who's Galahad, I think, if I recall correctly. And, or no, he's Gawain or Gawain. I can't remember. You're not going to know.
Beats me.
Anyway,
sorry.
Galahad is the one who finds the later. Anyway, he is like, Arthur, you know why Lancelot's not here. And he like throws shade on that relationship.
On Guinevere.
Yes.
So this is the way they solved this problem.
Yes.
Back then, if a woman's honor is
at least
in
according
debate,
to the movie, yes.
In the movie, if a woman's honor is in debate, then the way that her innocence is proved is that someone has to fight for her and that someone has to win. Yes. Against her accuser.
She's a liar.
Otherwise, she's a liar and guilty and probably would be crucified or hung or whatever. I don't know.
Maybe. Who knows?
Maybe have her hand cut off. I don't know.
Depends. Yeah.
Thrown in jail. So anyway, Lancelot...
Forced to unperm her hair.
No!
No, I can't do straight hair.
Lancelot, in the meantime, he had this dream in the woods.
Yes.
And he like fought himself in the dream and actually like stabbed himself in the leg with a sword.
In his kidney, like he was stabbed
like
through
in the side.
In the side, yeah.
And he pulls his own sword out.
Yes. That's what you get for sleeping completely naked in the woods.
In the woods.
With your armor right next to you.
So 70s. I know this was filmed in 81, but
well,
it had all the vestiges of a 70s
This is what
movie.
I call a 70s hangover film. Like, you know, the early 80s is pretty much the late 70s, so it's still the 70s pretty much.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah. So he recovers enough. Well, he comes up bleeding and he fights for her. And just barely
why
wins.
didn't Arthur fight for her?
Well, he can't because he's the king.
Yeah.
And so he has to...
Was the queen satisfied with that answer?
No.
She was not.
You should be my husband. Yeah.
Yeah. So that little detail right there kind of put fuel on the fire, I think, of the star-crossed of Lancelot, and I keep wanting to call her Maid Marian.
Just remember Guinevere Smashevere.
Guinevere. Yes. Guinevere.
Okay.
So anyway, Lancelot ends up fighting and
wins.
He wins.
Barely.
And then he falls over.
Yeah.
And then he is about to die.
Merlin.
Yep.
Yeah, Merlin. Guinevere asks Merlin to heal him. She's
Arthur
by
does.
his bedside.
Arthur does, because Arthur's like, you defended her honor. You're my friend. You're the bestest ever. Merlin, save him.
Bro. I love you,
and Merlin's
bro.
like, it's not going to go that good if I do. He's like, do it anyway.
And he did.
And he did.
And so Lancelot's like, I feel better. I must go heal in the woods.
I gotta go to the woods. I can't take this.
Which I feel like that sometimes too. I would like to go just be by myself in the woods.
Strip off your armor. Lay naked with swords all around you.
Be by myself in the woods. Okay. More like that.
I mean, in his defense, that armor cannot be comfortable.
No.
So you probably want to get out of it.
Yeah. So anyway... We should. There's so much to cover.
We're only halfway through the movie.
It's crazy.
Fast forward. Guinevere finds him, and then Arthur finds them, and then Arthur, I'm angry, stabs a sword down, runs away, leaves the sword. He no longer has Excalibur. Lancelot goes off who knows where. Guinevere disappears. Flash forward. Scene opens up. Arthur, all of a sudden, is kind of like wheelchair ridden. Like he is not looking good.
Wait, you skipped a really important part.
Well, what did I skip?
Morgana.
Oh, yes. I forgot about that part.
She tricks Arthur. She can do this like shape-shifting thing. Where
same
she
thing
looks
Merlin
like
did.
Guinevere.
Yes.
And so she gets a child from Arthur.
Tales all this time, begetting. There's more begetting.
More begetting.
Mm-hmm.
So then flash forward.
Mm-hmm.
Arthur is an old man in a wheelchair, sort of.
He's older. Let's be sensitive.
He's got some gray.
He has some gray.
Some wrinkles.
He does. Aged. He's aged. That is true.
And Morgana has her boy.
It's about 10 years later based on the boy, yeah.
Yeah.
And okay, so then we're in the future. It's 10 years later. Arthur's like, man, the only thing that can redeem this stuff is we gotta find the Holy Grail.
The Holy Grail.
The Holy Grail.
The first time we're hearing about it, but now we have to find it.
We gotta find it.
Or all is lost.
This is, it's around 600. The Grail's been floating around for 595 years. But all of a sudden, we're like, we got to find this thing.
So all his knights go out and try to find it.
And it's in England, apparently. So, yes. His knights go out.
Mm-hmm.
All of them go out. All of them die, except for Galahad. This is the craziest part of the movie in my book. Like, he finds... There's a couple of scenes. His like, hallucinations. He sees hallucinations about it.
Yeah.
And then there's this... I remember seeing the tree when I was a kid. Like, there's this tree where there's all the knights in armor and they were like just hanging from it, like deceased.
Yeah.
And it's, first of all, for the record, there was a CBS edit of this movie, which is probably what I saw. And it took out like 20 minutes of the movie. But anyway.
Yeah, because we were watching it, you're like, I don't remember
I don't remember that at all. Yeah. This was way more intense than I remember. Or I just remember seeing the back of a pillow or something. Because, 80s parenting, pillows. Put the pillow over your eyes. Yes, so there's the tree, there's the bodies, and then there's this tiny armored boy. Do you want to explain the armor of the boy?
Okay, so Galahad sees all these soldiers hanging from the tree and he hears laughing in the woods. It's creepy. Mm-hmm. And he's on his horse and the laughter happens and kind of bounces around and he's trying to find it and finally he does. And I thought it was a woman at first, but it's someone wearing completely gold armor.
Yep.
And the helmet is like a head that goes all the way down to the nose, but it has the mouth open. So like
think like Batman, the Batman
cowl.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So the mouth is moving and laughing, still eerily, but it looks like this golden person and it's bizarre and it has like kind of longish hair.
It just the helmet has like, it looks like golden hair. It's like,
right.
It's like, forged to look like hair.
Yeah, it's bizarro. Turns out that's Arthur's son and he's growing up and being groomed by Morgana to like beat Arthur and to take the kingdom.
True.
So, but Galahad, did you say it was?
Yes.
Okay. Galahad, he goes back into this dream world, which I don't understand this. This is so weird.
Well, doesn't he go in first and they capture him and he doesn't want to help them? So then they put him on the tree. Mm-hmm. And while he's there hanging, he starts hallucinating, going into the dream world, right?
Yeah. But this is one of the best parts of the movie.
Yeah. Absolutely.
He's hanging and there's a soldier's heels above him.
Yeah.
By his rope.
Yeah.
And the spurs on it are just, he's rocking back and forth and his rope is hitting the spurs. And it's just ever so slowly kind of cutting them. Mm-hmm. And so while that's happening, this is really a good piece of filmmaking. Mm-hmm. Like here, the suspense of it is really cool. Mm-hmm. And while he's dreaming, you see occasionally that it's like cutting through the ropes. And finally it cuts through and he falls down.
But he was just about to get the answer to where the Grail was, and then he fell. So then he was like, oh!
So later, he goes into this dream again, and this time he reaches for it, and he answers the questions. Someone's asking him questions.
Yeah, Arthur asks him a question or something. Yeah.
So trippy.
I don't even, I don't know. Then all of a sudden he has the Grail, and then he gets there?
It's so weird, and this doesn't make any sense at all. Mm-hmm. But he's in the dream. Mm-hmm. We know he's dreaming and he reaches for the Grail and as soon as he touches it, he wakes up holding it in real life in front of King Arthur.
Yeah,
immediately. He didn't do any traveling. He just woke up there.
It's all about death though. Like he's about to die when he has the visions. Because the second time he had the vision, he was drowning, wasn't he? I think that's when he was drowning. And then he had the vision and then he got it and then he was there, I think. If I remember right.
Yeah.
So it has to do with death. It's like, it must be like, there's a lot of veil. There's the veil of the water. Maybe it was in the water and he got it from the Lady of the Lake and she gave it to him. I don't know.
That's definitely not explained. It's just like,
it's not.
This is what happened.
Yes.
He grabbed it in his dream, and suddenly he was in real life in front of King Arthur.
Then Arthur drank from it. He was like,
Don't ask questions. This is a movie.
Just do
You're
it.
You're going to watch it.
You're going to watch
and believe it.
So he drank from it, and all of a sudden he's like, whoa, I'm on fire. I can do this again. He's standing. He's looking vibrant. He's like, bring me my armor. I got to go make some right. And then he goes and he finds Guinevere, right? Yeah, he goes to Guinevere.
Who was a nun all this time.
Who's a nun the whole time.
Yeah.
And then she just happens to have Excalibur still.
Yeah.
And she gives it to him. And he's like, all right, peace out. I'll see you on the other side. Be my queen in the afterlife or something. And then he's like, see you later. And then he goes, I can't remember. Did he find Lancelot?
Galahad found Lancelot.
Galahad did.
He was like living in a peasant village.
Yeah.
And Lancelot comes back and joins the fray, and they all go and battle the sun and his army.
Yeah.
And
Lancelot shows up at the end. Like, it's not looking good. Then he shows up. He's got crazy hair, too. It's amazing.
Yeah. He was living, with the commoners.
He was. He had he looked like a dwarf.
The peasants.
The peasants.
Yeah.
So then they get into a big battle. The sun comes up. Arthur tries to be nice to him, and he's like, no, I don't want your niceness. I want your throne. And they throw down.
Arthur's like, I'm going to end this here. And he kills his son.
Yep.
Wait. And then his son, he lets his son stab him.
Yes.
And then he kills his son.
Dispatches his son. Yes. It's like,
so it's, yeah. It all happens in front of the rising sun.
Yes.
And then he's like, Galahad, get rid of the sword. And Galahad's like, okay.
Yeah.
And he goes to the water, but he won't throw it in. And he comes back and he tries to lie about it.
Yeah.
And say he did. And the king is like, tell me what you saw.
Galahad, tell the truth.
I didn't do it. So he goes back and he actually does it.
Yeah.
The lady takes the sword back. Boom. It's over.
Yeah.
That was a lot. It was a lot.
It was a lot. It was a lot.
Yeah.
It's like dating a Kardashian.
Yeah. Would you? Yeah.
I've never dated one. I just assume. Anyway, but you know what they say about assuming? It makes a night out of you and me. Sorry, it must be the mead talking.
I want to be knighted.
I mean, what?
It looks fun.
It does. If it's like not a sharp sword, I don't want a sharp sword near my head like that. I prefer it to be like a blunt sword, but...
Can we go through our list of bingo and see what we saw?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
So, bingo. Knights on horses.
Check.
Did we do that?
Oh, yeah.
How many times did we see that?
A lot.
Okay. Fair maidens in gowns.
Check.
Wells with wooden buckets being drawn up.
Nothing. We didn't see any wells or wooden buckets.
Didn't we see a well? I thought we saw one well, but there was no bucket.
I don't remember a well.
I remember seeing like a well in the side, like in the background, but no bucket. So
okay.
So
half check.
Okay, half check. Horses thundering over a drawbridge.
We saw lots of we saw like 2 or 3 drawbridges, but no horses thundering over them. At the end, Arthur's son kind of trots up on the drawbridge.
Oh, he doesn't thunder.
But he doesn't thunder across
That's
it.
true.
So, okay.
No thundering. Horses galloping down into the woods.
Okay.
Entering the woods.
This is one of the best scenes in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely hands down best scene. It was like the best use of the natural landscape for their setting. And it was Guinevere riding her horse to find Lancelot. And her gowns are flowing and it's just the right shot. It's not too close. Mm-hmm. It's like a wide shot. So it's just beautiful and perfect.
Okay.
And a lot of the shots in the movie I thought were there's a lot of close up. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
This was perfect. This was a really good moment. And so check.
Okay.
Good check.
Wow. Minstrels. What?
Wait, also another scene that I really liked.
Yeah.
Where when they were going off to battle the sun,
mm-hmm.
at the end, they were riding through an apple orchard in blossom.
Oh, yeah, that was nice.
That was really, really cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Minstrels.
Metaphor. I think I literally said that out loud. Metaphor. Rebirth. Arthur's back in the game.
Oh.
Anyway.
Yeah, you're good.
Minstrels.
Check. At the party when the queen was dancing in the very beginning.
Yep, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
wild boar with an apple in its mouth on a wooden table laden with a lot of things.
So we found there was 2 times there was like a boar or a pig, but it didn't have an apple in its mouth, but there was a bowl full of apples right next to it.
It's like they were messing
really
with you.
Close.
It was laden with so many things. I feel like we can include that.
I'll give it a check.
Okay. Goblets.
Check.
Candlesticks.
Check.
People saying "milord."
I don't know if we heard that.
Yeah, I can't remember if we did either. What about milady? No?
I also don't know if we heard that.
All right.
Sorry.
Talk of honor.
Yes, there was talk of honor.
There was
Merlin
so much
was
talk of honor.
You shouldn't do that, and I still want to.
They literally had a round table thing where they're like, "Oh wait, whoa, yo bro, what's the best thing that a best quality a knight needs to have?" And they were like, "Oh, it needs to be blah. It needs to be do." And Merlin, they're like, "Merlin, you're going to settle this." And Merlin's like, "Oh," cagey comment. And they're like, "For real, Merlin, what is it?" And he said, "Truth," which is another way of saying honor.
Okay, so. Check.
Yeah. That was it. That's the bingo.
Good round.
So you did pretty good. I think we only missed 2 on that list. So of 12 items. So
nice.
Go you.
Thank you.
If you could have your own suit of armor, would you do any customizations to it? And if so, what would they be?
Yeah, totally. I would want like some like jade like inlay.
Ooh.
Like decorative inlay. And I'm picturing like hoop earrings.
Hoop earrings?
Yeah.
Like
and maybe like jade like
in the
bracelets.
helmet? Or like that you wear?
In the helmet.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
That is so impractical. It's like giving someone something to aim for and then pulling you off balance.
Oh, instead of jade, I want turquoise.
Turquoise?
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Oh, I mean, aren't those the same?
No.
They're both green stones, aren't they?
Don't you know anything about...
One is lighter green and one is darker green?
No.
I'm way off.
Totally different.
Wow, okay.
So...
Anything about your helmet, or do you just want a standard helmet?
Oh.
Besides the hoop earrings?
Yeah, I mean, I want a helmet that I can like open up and down and shut when I need more protection around my face. But I want to like open it up so I can breathe.
Okay.
Better. And then like definitely movable. But honestly, the armor... Man, that's clunky stuff.
It is. That's why the battles were kind of slow and meandering and exhausting.
What about you?
I would want 2 modifications on mine. One, I would want like spikes coming out of my elbows. So I could just elbow people with them and pierce their armor with them. That's one I would want. And the other is I would probably want my helmet to look like a giant like cat face. And I'd have eye holes so I could see, but it would be like fangs, and you'd have like the cat ears,
Nice.
Just something that would just throw people off.
When you said that, I was picturing the Infinity Stone gauntlet that Thanos had.
Nice.
Could also incorporate something like that.
Nice.
Sounds good.
Wow. So yeah, that was it. That's Excalibur.
Wow. Okay, great.
What are you gonna think the next time you see a lake?
I'm going to look closely at the bottom.
Oh, one last revelation. I realized while watching this movie.
Yeah?
It was the first time that I had ever heard Carmina Burana.
Oh, that song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I've heard that movie. It's been used in so many movies.
Yeah.
But this has to be the first time I heard it. And it's such an amazing work. Like, I love that song, the suite. Anyway, that was like a what moment for me.
Awesome.
Well, all right. What say we thunder on off?
Let's.
Milady.
My lord.
A wizard's ancient spell.
Into the eyes of the dragon and the despair.
And the lust of a lord.
I must have her.
One night with her.
Give birth to an empire.
Behold, the sword of power, Excalibur.
The future has taken root in the present. It is done.
king!
Orion Pictures presents John Boorman's Excalibur.
Knights of the Round Table, we shall always come together in a circle to hear and tell of deeds good and brave. And I will marry.
Don't you know me, Merlin? Because I'm a creature like you.
Their magic is Merlin.
Are you just a dream to some?
A nightmare to others.
Their king is Arthur.
You are my husband.
I must be king first.
Their power is Excalibur.
I swear eternal faith to Arthur, king. Sir Lancelot, you will be my champion.
Which is that? Greatest quality of knighthood.
True.
We're hides evil then.
Where you never expected.
I protest my innocence.
Were I not king, I would make you pay with your life.
A world of wizards, kings, warriors, queens, swords, sorcery, and desire. Forged of splendor and magic, where future meets past, flesh meets steel, and the only fear is the pain of love. Excalibur, sword of power, sword of kings.